Happy Sunday to you. Thank you so much for joining me for Awareness. I'm your host, Billie Jean Shaw. We know that Christmas is right around the corner. It's a time of the year to make memories, but what about our loved ones, specifically seniors who may be losing their memory? On today's show, we're going to discuss preserving memories while your loved ones are forgetting Christmas. Joining me today to talk more about this is an award-winning Alzheimer's and dementia educator, licensed gerontology social worker, and best-selling author who has over 2 decades of experience working with aging and vulnerable populations. She's known as the social gerontologist, Dr. Macy P. Smith. Thank you so much for coming to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. It's always a pleasure to talk to you, Dr. Smith, because you have such a way of informing our viewers about dementia, Alzheimer's, and other cognitive issues, but at the same time, you do it in an entertaining way that makes all of that information stick with us, and that's what we're going to do today. When we talk about the holidays and dealing with someone with cognitive impairment, what are some challenges that we start to see in our seniors around this time of the year?
So Billie Jean, it's the holidays, it's Christmas, and family members are coming into town. They may not have seen their parent or older adult loved one for over a year, and so they may notice memory loss, forgetfulness. They may even notice that the house is untidy. There's old food in the refrigerator. They may even notice that the senior is getting lost or confused in their own home. So those are signs that something may be happening. It doesn't mean that it's dementia or Alzheimer's disease, but there is something impairing their cognitive state. And so the very first thing they need to do is see their primary care doctor. Their primary care doctor can do a cognitive assessment, but even before then, medical situations can cause that. Vitamin deficiency, dehydration, are they eating well? Are they drinking water? Are they getting out, engaging with other people, like at church or at community events? If those things aren't happening, it can affect your cognitive state. Anybody, but especially our senior population.
And for caregivers who may not know that they're caregivers, we always talk about that, but those that are caring for their loved ones, one of the things they should not do, ignore the signs, right?
Oh, definitely. Billie Jean, one of the things that none of us want to lose is our mind.
Yeah.
And so when you accept that maybe your loved one or your parent that's a scary moment. So if it's scary for you as a caregiver or a family member, imagine how that person is feeling. So the worst thing you can do is to ignore it, because ignoring it doesn't make it go away. And if it's something that's treatable that's causing it, if you don't treat it, it does progress in a way that could lead to progressive memory loss.
And while our seniors are dealing with this memory loss, they may not realize what's going on with their minds. So how do you as a caregiver start initiating those conversations with them, encouraging them to go to the doctor and facing the fact that something may be a little off?
Yeah, so that's a sticky subject, because we can't be telling our mom and our daddies what to do.
Correct.
You can't reparent them. Yeah. And so that is a delicate conversation to have. The first thing though, they do recognize that they're different or that something is happening, and they hide it so well. Yeah. They may not let on. So by the time you see it, they've already been experiencing it for some time now. And so one of the things you can mention, not anything about the mind, but when was the last time you had your physical? The doctor would love to see you. I go and get my physical every year. Okay. This is what the insurance pays for, and they don't want money to go to waste. So the insurance pays for you to have your annual physical. And as a family member, the doctor, if you're not on their HIPAA form, the doctor won't tell you anything, but you can call the doctor's office and speak to the nurse or the doctor and give them a list of concerns, or you can go with them to the doctor, have it written out, and slide it to the nurse or the doctor, because you're partnering in their care.
That is a good point, because I know that it becomes a private matter, and when they're older, they may not want you to discuss their medical business. So those are some good tips. Now, circling back to the holidays, once you realize this and it has been established that something is off and everyone has faced the facts, there's probably something sweet you can do still for the holidays, as far as gifting the seniors something who are experiencing not only memory loss, but just plain on loneliness around this time as well. And you brought us some suggestions for gifts.
So loneliness and isolation does happen a lot with our older population, our senior population, but this is a Joy for All pet. I don't know his or her name yet, but I feel like he or she is going to get one. It's voice activated. I have him on mute now.
Okay.
But it also purrs. And so that whole physical connection is important to someone who's experiencing loneliness or isolation. And so it's not a toy, right?
Yeah.
But it's a companion pet. That's what we call it, a Joy for All companion pet. It is a great gift idea for seniors who may be living alone, or they could be living with you, but they still alone because they want to engage with what they want to engage with. And a pet is going to look up to the person. The pet is going to value that person's time. And this pet, you don't have to feed it, you don't have to clean up after it, and you don't have to take it to the vet.
Yeah,
Also,
so it still gives you that companionship without the responsibility
exactly.
of a real life pet. That's
seamless.
amazing.
That's amazing for the senior, but also the caregiver and the family. Also for Joy for All in this ageless innovation is the life game. You remember the life game?
Yes, I do.
So now this is life generations. So whenever they were born, this goes from 1920 to the 2000s. And so it's very intergenerational. Look at
I see it.
she's showing out. She's showing out for awareness.
Oh my God.
And so it's intergenerational. So your babies can play it with you, with your grandparents. So that way it could offer more engagement, and then that senior feels like they belong and that they can accomplish and be as independent as possible, because that whole intergenerational connection is real.
Dr. Macy Smith, thank you so much for joining us. When we return, we are going to continue the conversation of how we can help seniors who may forget Christmas. Up next, I introduce you to the writer and director of a soon-to-be-released film titled Forgetting Christmas, that's shedding light on early onset Alzheimer's and how it is specifically affecting the Black community.